Good evening. I wanted to share how I'm going to convert this data that I collected here into certain model types so I can use it in a database. I think this is can be quite useful for as an example on kind of how to migrate data from one format to another. It's a very common thing you need to do sometimes. Yeah, and so I will first show you some files that I collected and also some formats that I'm thinking about that I will think I need, and then I'm gonna do some migration scripts. So these are, for example, some cities. This is the name of the city. This is a 2-letter country code, and then you have the coordinates for every city in a string. Not the ideal format, because where's the name of the country, stuff like that. So then there's also the countries. There's the 2-letter code here. There's the name of the country. Then there's a country code, and then there's other stuff, and the region and sub-region are also nice. So this is nice too. So I guess these two are the most important. But then there's also this really cool one. It has some features about different countries. Many of them I will never need, and they have no type interface or any information about what it really means, what's in there. So I have to kind of discover that. But the coolest thing about this one is that it has coordinates which represent a polygon, which is a shape of the country. I have these country polygons for, I think, all the countries, but I'm not sure about that. I have the Netherlands here, polygons, and I have another one here. I'm not sure if I need that because it's probably also in this one. And then I have a lot of provinces for different countries, but it's not complete. Then I have another file, provinces here, but it crashes my machine because it's very big. I'm not sure what's in there. And then subdivisions, which is kind of regions of countries, I believe. So yeah, really cool. So the first step that I will do is turn something on in the Typescript config, which is resolve JSON module, and I'll set it to true, because if you do that, you can just import your data. You can basically see the data, because now I don't see it yet, but if I restart now my Typescript server, you can see all the JSON files. So there you go. So I would just have the cities here, and let's first have a look, by the way, before I start, at the type interfaces that I created some time ago. I want to represent any area by an array of positions in the polygon, which represents a polygon that we also saw in the other one. You can also say that it's a combination of multiple circles, but these are optional properties. So you could say like a circle is a position, but there are multiple circles. That, by the way, I think a circle should be a circle array, and actually circle extends nothing. It just has a diameter, in meters maybe, and a position, right? So that's a circle, and then it's very easy to represent like an area as multiple circles with multiple diameters, instead of doing the polygon thing, because you can also do that, but it's very easy as well to represent, for example, a city by just one circle, which is just a position and a diameter. By the way, a position is just a latitude and a longitude. Very easy. So that's the area. Then there's the city, which has a name, a latitude and a longitude, and it's a slug model type right now. So what I was thinking about is to change this a little more. So to do that, I'm first going to put it in one file, because it's annoying to work across multiple files at the same time. Then there's a distant object. I'll not do that today. And then there's the position, which can be put in the area file, I guess, to decrease the number of files for now, as I'm working in it. Later I can split it up if it becomes too big again. The position doesn't need to have a model type, because it's not a database model. Position is part of other models. So that's the area. Then we have the distant object, which I'm not going to cover today. And then there's the location that I want to parse stuff into. I think it would be very nice to also use my new parsed data structure, which is the key value markdown model type. Yeah, model type. So the key value markdown model type is a way to present data in a markdown file, to store data in a markdown file that I created with my database. And this location can be like so the new data structure requires me to call it parent location slug and parent location, and this is all you need basically. So for now, I think it will be amazing to start with this location, where you would have some markdown file, and in the end I want to get a file that looks like this. So there's like key, and there's a value. So what do we have about the countries? That is something that we need to keep, right? I don't believe that it's very useful to have a two-letter country code. We can just make a slug of the name of the country. So I'm going to throw that away. So, but I do think that whoa, there's not even any information here about the location of this country. But I think that we can have regions. So region, and then on the second level we could have sub-region, and then on the third level we can have country, and then on the fourth level we can have city, right? And that's basically the key, the item. So we don't need to make that a header. There's nothing lower than city at the moment for levels. We could have areas in the city later, but that's not anything that's very important to me now. I don't think that will be useful at the moment for me. So I'll make it this type of format, kind of. So there's 4 kind of different levels. Yeah. So I guess what we really need still is, because I was thinking to do the position, just kind of the center position of a country or city or region in the value, which would simply be two numbers separated by a space. And then it will be very easy to parse that later, I guess. So that's how I want to represent it in here. So you would have the name of the region and the coordinates, which is, for example, this, right? So you would do that for every header and every item. So this is kind of the format that I want to aim for here. And right now you can see I have it in JSON. And I have all the cities, that's great. But I need to find, for this two-letter country, I need to find the real country and its position. So that's my goal now. So for example, here we have Guatemala. And I was wondering, it does have a GDP. But label X, label I. Okay. That must be the, by the way, this is the polygon that I was talking about. But I'm not gonna do it in this conversion that I'm gonna do now because it doesn't fit in the markdown format. I'm gonna do that in another one. I guess that label X and I and Y are coordinates. Just gonna look this one up. This must be what is that? Haiti. Oh. This doesn't look like Haiti, does it? Maybe it's the other way around. That looks better. Yes. Okay, so this is Haiti. So this the so it's latitude, longitude, I guess. I guess you always do latitude first and then longitude. Okay, anyway, I think I can get started now. So let's start with the country polygons file and try to parse that. So the really cool thing about this feature with Typescript is that you can simply dive into this thing, because you would get a features and type. You can see the content, the type interface of the content of this JSON file. And that's a really cool feature, I think. So as you can see, features seems to be an array of different values. It seems to be an array where you have the properties and the geometry, which is the coordinates, which we don't need. But the properties give me all the information, right? So so every item in this features list is a country that is represented in a very bad way. So now I'm just gonna have a look at the country. properties. Let's destructure that. And then we can see all the elements that are in there. So like you saw, there's a lot of different names for this country. It seems that the name of the country, well, we also need a 2-letter code, right? Formal name, there's many different names for it, but we need the ISO A2, I guess, because in the cities they are giving it a name of 2 letters and we need to connect with that. So ISO A2, that's the 2-letter code. Then we need the X, label Y, and then we need the name of the actual country. And I'm not very sure what would be the best parameter to take there, because I haven't seen all of them. Because maybe it's better to not take one of them immediately. Admin is the first. No, sovereign is the first one. And then we have geo unit, subunit. Oh, by the way, do we have the regions here connected to it? Ah, yeah. So there's the continent here. And then there's the sub-region. So let's take them too. Name, length. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of more cool information here. A lot more. But yeah, and anyway, since I'm just taking the information here that I think is interesting, I'm also just gonna take the coordinates, the polygon. It's a very strange data structure here, but I'll figure that out later. I just want to pick the cool information for now. And then, so I'm gonna return here something that I want. So polygon coordinates code ISO A2 X latitude. I guess X is this. So then, so latitude. I'm always confused with this. So I guess that well, it doesn't matter. I'll figure it out later. Latitude is label X and longitude is label Y, and I'll figure it out if that's correct later. Subcontinent, subregion. I think subcontinent is a better name for that. Subcontinent, everything camel case. So now we just need to take the name. And I don't really know which one we should take. There's many different ways they seem to be representing the name. And by the way, it wouldn't hurt to to also take something like this one, the 3-letter code, solve A3, A3. Then at least we have a lot of data, but not so much as this. And I mean, the population asked and GDP-MD are really nice numbers as well. What else? I don't know what that means. But no, I'll just take these 4.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
So I'll just take these 4. Sovereign admin, geo unit, and sub unit. And I have no clue what that means, but I'm just gonna give it a clearer name. Solve A3 is like code let's call it code 2 letters and code 3 letters. Solve A3 and pop est is like the population, and then the GDP is the total GDP or what? It's the 67,710. So that's 14,000 for Haiti. It's 88.27. I wonder what it is for like. It's definitely not per capita, because this is 1.7 million. It's probably the amount of millions or something per total population, I guess. Yeah, I mean, this is 21 million, and then maybe it's 21 million times 1,000 or something for all the people. I will calculate that later, but this is not per capita. So MD, and then name 1 solve verreigenet, and then name 2. Actually, I will just call this name, and then name 2 admin, name 3 geo unit, name 4 subunit. And if I don't understand a name, for example, I can later change it to one of the other keys that I have for that name. So this is the only very annoying data structure here, where you have nested arrays in the polygons, and that's something I can fix later. But that's a general way to store polygons, unfortunately. It's very hard to work with. You can easily change a polygon to just be an array of latitudes and longitudes, right? Anyway, I think we have a lot of nice information now. If we would save this as countries and just take file system and save it in a file. no, wait. Write Json to file. I wrote a function for that. It's easier to use. First I'm gonna get the path of this database here, the DB folder. Path is a Node.js function that lets you work with paths. It's really nice to use. So first I'm getting the directory name where this function is being executed. Then I'm going one folder up because it's in the build folder. Then I'm going into the DB folder. So that's DB path. And then the country's path is simply a path join with the DB path, and let's call it, well, we're not gonna work with this one. Just let's call it countries because it's at least already better compared to what we had before. So we can store this countries stuff in there. So that's the first step, right? So I can already start, or I can continue now, or I could just already execute it and just see if it works. Nope, because I had a lot of imports here that don't exist anymore. I don't care. I don't need to export anything. So node builds Parse.js. Oh. It's called parse. Wait a minute. Ah, really? So because I import from the database in the build folder, it's also going to include that in the folder. That's a bit annoying because that changes our code as well. Because now the file that we want to save it to cannot be found anymore. Here, we have to go up one more folder. So let's see if it works. So as you can see, here is the parse file. We're going to execute that. And then here's the database in the build folder, actually, that it copied, apparently, when building. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so now I need to execute it by going to build source parse. And then I can see if it worked. So as you can see, there's first always the polygon, which is a bit annoying, but well, at least it seems to be working. Yeah, and we have all the data that we asked for. So that's cool. So that's the first step. And then I guess we can kind of try to connect the cities to the countries, right? Since we have a country code of 2 letters in every city, I'm just going to assume, and I don't think, by the way, well, this is 750,000 lines. It must be a lot of cities, but maybe not all of them, but let's hope that we have all of them. So the second step would be, so kind of what I did here is parse countries. I'm just gonna keep the codes, but I probably won't need to execute it again. Now I'm gonna make parse cities. And actually, I don't want to, like, I want to parse everything to Markdown already, I think. Because it's gonna be easy to match the city. So the second step would be import cities from cities. Yeah. And then we need to match that city. So I'm just going to go over the countries that I created. Here. And the cool thing is that you don't need to type the structures, data structures, if you just import them with JSON. Until you really need that type interface, of course. Then you can store it in the type interface. But it's not even needed now because Typescript already kind of parses the JSON type format for you. That's great. Save some time. Anyway, so what I want now is an array of key value markdown. And I have a type interface here, a key value markdown model type. And that's, I want to map over every country. And I want to return an array. So this is an array, but the thing is that this is also going to be an array because every country has many cities, of course. So I'm going to find all those cities first. So cities. Wait. Oh, it's got cities already. So let's call it cities JSON then. That's better. So cities. Cities JSON. Wait. Well, I'm having a syntax error now, I think. Why is it not giving me the type interface of that? Too big maybe. Well, it has this, so it's not that hard. So let me show you anyway how to do this differently, right? So I don't necessarily need to use that import JSON because apparently it doesn't always work if the file's too big. So I also have a function here. Called read JSON file. Which you can just pass a path, which I'm gonna do by taking the DB path again and the country's path. Oh yeah, so this was in my copy paste. So before I do that, like, of course I can't take the DB path here, but why don't I just make a small utility function here? Get DB path equals relative, like DB relative path, and it simply first it goes to the DB, and then it says path join db path with the db relative path. So that's a very small utility function that I can use. So this will return the same thing, right? So now I want to get the db path of the cities.json, and I want to read that in. But the cool thing is this JSON file, read JSON file function has a generic where you can pass the expected type interface. So it is obviously an array of country, name, let, and ling. So now I can use that cities JSON finally. Oh yeah, of course this is giving a red line, but cities JSON. Oh, I'm sorry. This is an async function that awaits this, and then I can map over it. So it can also return null, by the way, if it fails to read it. But I have to filter out those cities. So let's first map it a little, because it's a bit of an ugly thing, right? So it has a country string, but that country is actually the two-letter code. Code to letters country. Name would be city name. Or actually this is not country, sorry. Item country. City name. Item name. Alright, let's call it city. Country code to letters. And then city is city name, item name, and then latitude item lot, longitude item ling. So then I mapped it a little, and now I can filter out the ones that I need, right? So item. So I need to match the country code. So this is a two-letter country code string, and it needs to equal to the two-letter country code from our country above here. So then we have the city. And then, okay, so then we can basically map it again, because we need a key value markdown model type. However, we don't need all the variables, and I created a generic for that. It's called storing, so you don't need to provide the values that don't need to be stored. These ones. So this is basically all these things that we need to provide here, except for those that I just showed you. So yeah, it has a couple, you will see. So we need to map it again after the filter. And if you autocomplete here, no, you don't get it. This one. So now I want to map it to this format, right? So I need an ID, which is so I need an I just did it like this before today, but I also need the category stack, which I think I don't need. I'll leave that out. Comment, I'll put that on nothing. I don't need comments for now. Is header, it's a city, so no, it's not a header. It's one of the items actually. And then we have a name and a value, right? And a slug, but the name is actually part of the IDs. Const IDs equals name is like the human case. Oh, wait. We already have the name somewhere. Item city. And then we have the slug, which is kebab case. By the way, I have a convert casing, convert case, kebab case. That's a function that I use a lot to convert something into different casing, you know. So I'm just gonna take item city here, and the ID is also simply the same as slug for now. I don't really know what if I want to continue with that thing, but yeah. So there we have it. We have the IDs, category stack, the comment, the header, is header I mean, and then so that's those three, and then value. Actually, it's a bit ugly to do it like this. I did it before like that, but now it's not really needed. So now you can easily see if we have everything. We just need the value, and that can easily be represented like this, like I said before. We have the latitude first, then this thing, and then the longitude. Latitude, longitude. So there we have it. Yeah, that's nice. So now I have to get returning that, start returning that. So as you can see, this is still not the right format because I am mapping it here into this format, but it can be undefined, right? So now this should be the right type. Yes, it doesn't complain. And now I can return all the cities. Oh, and a very important thing, by the way, is why am I doing it like this? I just showed you already the location type that I created, which is a key value marker model type, but it's a location. So everywhere where I use this one here, I should actually be using this one. I forgot. So that makes it a bit more clear, because now I can see that we're probably missing something. It's importing from the wrong one. Yeah. So we're probably, yeah, we have to give the parent location, right? So in this case, this is a city. And we have to give the parent location, which is in this case going to be a country, slug. And it should be country name. But of course, yeah, because we already matched it, right? The country code 2 letters equals country 2 letters. So we just need country name, right? So of course this needs to be, hey, parent location slug we need, I'm sorry. So we need the slug, which is always a kebab case again, so it's never has any spaces or whatever. So now we have the storing location format where the city is going to refer to the location of the country, which is like a reference to the country. So okay, so cities, we finally got cities now. We're done with that one. This is all the way also a storing location, by the way. And it will be nice if we can know for sure that this is an array, because then it's easier to merge them. So I can just do this, right? Or not? Yeah. So now this is always an array, because if it's undefined it will become an empty array, and that's fine. So now I can say I want all the cities here, and I want the country. The key value markdown country, that is. So now I have to define that one. And well, it will follow a very similar pattern as this. So let's do that. So let's get the name. The slug and ID will follow the same one, the same name, but kebab case versions. Then the category stack can actually be empty, I think. The comment can be null. The header is true in this case, but I'm not even sure. I think it's used. It's not used anyway, so it doesn't really matter. These two are probably not used, but I'm not completely done with this format. So yeah, that's why they are there. They should not be there probably. But then we have the country latitude, I believe, and the country longitude. and let's hope that these are not mixed up, because if that's the case I have to do it again. Doesn't matter, but yeah. Parent location slug. So in this case the parent location slug could be a kebab case of the either the subcontinent or immediately the continent. I think it would be nice, like I said before, like I showed here. I want the continent, then the subcontinent, and then the country, and then the city. So we have this one, and then we still need to gather these two. So yeah, then it means it needs to be the subcontinent, right? And then I can add those ones also later. So it's just gonna refer to something that doesn't exist yet, but for me that's okay. Return country city array, and now we're almost done, because now we have created a map function that returns an array, so we have to flatten it. I believe that then we're there, at least. Of course this has to be storing, so because we don't have all those parameters. And now the red line is gone, the information is correct. We have converted the cities and taken also the country JSON, and we have found every city in every country, and we have stored it in this format, this new format. Hopefully, at least that's what TypeScript thinks. so that's good. So now we can write that to a file. Write key value. No. Okay, yeah. I have write string to file, and I have a function called this. So key value markdown parse to string. So first I need to get a key value markdown parse, which is very similar to what I already have. It's the data is the key value markdown array. Mapped because we need a couple more information. We need the operation name, and we need the project relative path. But I don't care about this, so I'm just leaving it empty. And then operation relative path, which is db locations. And that's it. So that's the data, and then there's parameters, which is the front matter stuff, and we don't need that at the moment. So the key value markdown parse is that. So now we can parse that to a string by calling this function, and then we can write that to a file. And then we're done. So it took a bit longer than I hoped, but we have it now. And now I'm gonna execute it and see how it went. It's quite some code. Well, let's hope it works. So I'm going to build and I'm going to execute it again. And it took a while. It was not instant, certainly not. Yeah. So let's look in the database. Oh, this was the unsaved version. And there we go. So we do have some cities here that they seem not to have a country above, right? But then we have Nicaragua, and then we have a lot of cities names with the coordinates attached. So it seems to be working. So let's see if this is really a country in Guatemala, because I don't believe it, man. Did this really work? Haiti. Haiti is not Guatemala. I believe I might have made a mistake. Where is this? Spain? Spain is not Dominion Republic. El Salvador. Zapotal. So I guess that maybe this is not exactly working the way I wanted it to. And that's probably, it could be, by the way, because of this. Didn't think about it. But I do the cities before the country. And yeah, currently it doesn't really work in a very nice way yet. So it might go wrong there. I didn't really think about the order. So maybe this was the mistake. So let's just do it again and see if Yara is a city in Cuba. Yes, it seems to work now. So is Acton, or maybe I can find a more popular city that I know. Bay Roberts. I don't know it, but it must be a very, yeah, it's a town in Canada. So now we have all the countries as the main kind of categories, and for every country uh, you get the city and the coordinates of that city. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm gonna use this for a client tomorrow, and yeah, so I hope you learned something of this. I have showed you in this video how to take some data from any format, from any JSON format that you have. Of course, you can also parse it from other formats, but you just need some utility functions to parse it from one storage format to the other. And now I showed you how to take the JSON, and also you can read a file in different ways. You can import it as a JSON, or you can use the file system. And then I'm mapping it to get the data that I need. I've also shown you how you can kind of filter and map it again and do multiple maps after each other, and then yeah, store it in the way that you want it, and then save it again to a file. So that's what I have shown you now. I hope I hope this was helpful, and yeah, see you in the next one. Thank you. Later. Bye bye.